Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Chameri Quartz. This watch is available from watchdives.com for $59. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with the piece. So the watch comes in a watch box which is protected by this black cardboard outer sleeve one removes. This is the watch box itself, as you can see, vinyl coated, and it has contrasting white stitching around the perimeter to a high standard. Nice presentation. We have a hinged lid. The interior is fully upholstered with a velour fabric, and the watch sits on a padded pillow cushion which is also velour fabric upholstered. So very good presentation, bearing in mind this is only $59. I want you to contrast this with a Pagani design cardboard watch box, and bear in mind that they are a significantly more expensive piece at circa $100. So I think Watch Dives and Chameri deserve full credit for producing a better quality watch box than one would expect at this price point. With a watch, one just gets one item, which is this Addies Owner's Instruction Manual. It's bilingual, both in Mandarin and English. Now, although it is branded as Addies, it actually does serve a purpose because the manual does relate to a quartz movement. It details the operation of a movement used, which is Seiko VH31 quartz. So, useful read for unfamiliar with quartz movements. Although it's not branded as Chameri, one has to expect some cost-cutting measures at only $59. So, with regards to the specifications of the piece, this is the Chameri Quartz. The watch is clearly an homage to a Grand Seiko. It has a very similar case shape to a Grand Seiko and also Grand Seiko style hands. You'll also note that this is very similar to an Escapement Time watch. Now, I looked into this because I wondered if Chameri and Escapement Time were producing two different branded watches because they look so similar, but I can confirm that they are made by different factories and the brands are totally unrelated. So with regards to the dimensions, we have a 40mm case diameter, we have a 46mm lug-to-lug measurement, a thickness of 10mm, and a lug width of 20mm. The genuine leather alligator finish strap tapers from 20mm at the lugs down to the buckle and tang. The buckle and tang is solid 316L grade stainless steel, flawless mirror polishing to the top side, underside and flanks, and it's unsigned and sterile. We have two keepers on the alligator leather strap, as you can see. One slides, one's fixed, as one would expect. I'll show you the underside of the leather strap. Now, it's a padded leather strap, so it's thicker at the spring bar end and it tapers in thickness down to the buckle and tang end. Plenty of holes in the strap to allow for fine-tuning the length. Flawless stitching around the perimeter, nice matte finish. Chameri deserve credit because they could have made the mistake of making this a glossy strap, but the matte finish means that it looks more like a daily wear piece rather than a dress piece, and that is appropriate because it's a 40mm, which is clearly meant to be a daily wear piece rather than a smaller 36mm dress piece. 20mm lug width. Now, as you can see, it's embossed with genuine leather. The underside is lined with the contrasting tan coloured leather, flawless stitching to the underside, very high quality. Now, although it does feel stiff because it's padded, I'm confident with daily wear it's going to break in and become very soft and supple. I'll show you the buckle and tang side. As you can see, flawless stitching either side to the fixed keeper, and also flawless stitching to the underside. So the quality of the leather strap is very high grade and certainly better than one would expect, bearing in mind it's only $59, so a low tier piece. With regards to the rest of the specification, we have a flat sapphire crystal with clear AR coating, and this is very impressive, and I would expect at $59 to see some cost-cutting measures such as mineral crystal, or alternatively sapphire crystal without AR coating as a cost-cutting measure. This does have sapphire crystal, I've confirmed it, and also it has clear AR coating. Now, if I tilt the piece at an oblique angle, you can see the AR coating does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the silver mirror polished applied indices and also the silver mirror polished hands. The handset is one of my favourite aspects of the piece. I like the contrasting blued second hand, and also I like the mirror polishing and the mirror polished bevels to the edges of the hands. They do look very similar to Grand Seiko hands, and they really do complement the applied indices, which are also mirror polished to a very high standard. Perfect symmetry to the dial because we don't have a date complication. And I like the minimalist dial layouts because we simply have a chapter ring with 60-minute ticks. The indices are all the same size except for the 12 o'clock double indices on the dial. And I like the legibility of it, the symmetry, and also the fact it just has the Chameri brand logo at 12 and simply quartz at the 6 o'clock position. There's no unnecessary specifications such as the water resistance rating, which really is irrelevant. So I like the matte cream dial. It's just very good the way the blue secondhand contrasts with it, and it does remind me of a Grand Seiko piece with a handset and that contrasting blue secondhand. The legibility is outstanding. The clear AR coating works very well. With regards to the crown, it's a solid 316L grade stainless steel crown, mirror polished cap which is sterile and unsigned, mirror polished to a high standard, and it's a screw down crown, which again is a pleasant surprise because at $59 I would expect this piece to only have a push pull crown. The screw down crown provides an effective hermetic seal to 50 meters, so let's test the action. Absolutely silky smooth, it's very impressive. Good interface between the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. So no date complication, so pulling it out to the first click position is the final click position, and as you can see the movement, the Seiko VH31 Quartz has hacking. One can hack the second hand to stop the movement dead, to set the time precisely to the second, and it's in the time setting position, absolutely silky smooth, and it's very good, no back play clockwise and anti-clockwise. The VH31 is a very solid quartz movement. Pushing it back in restarts the movement, and the blued second hand begins to tick around the dial once again. So let's test screwing it back down. Immediate thread pickup. This is outstanding screw down crown execution, and I'm very impressed with it at $59 to get this quality of screw down crown. The caseback is finished to a very high standard. One can see the concentric CNC lathe tool machining to the outer section of it, and that contrasts very well because in the center section we have a matte bead blasted effect center, and we have an embossed Chameri logo, and the quality of the finishing, if you look closely at the Chameri embossed logo, it's done to perfection. This is just incredible at this price point. The milled slots are done to a very high standard, no sharp edges, no burrs, and again, to get a screw down case back at this price point rather than just a pressed on case back is very strong specification. Mirror polishing to the underside to the head of the piece is done to a very high standard, and I really like the flat low profile to the screw down case back, which again provides an effective hermetic seal to 50 meters. Finishing is very good, it's very smooth and comfortable and sits very flat against the wrist. So I'm very impressed with the quality of the finishing to the underside to the head of the piece. No sharp edges to the flanks and the ends of the lugs. They are deburred and polished to a very high standard. Now with regards to the strap, minor criticism, I would prefer to see quick release spring bars rather than using conventional spring bars, because this padded alligator finish leather strap is going to be quite difficult to compress. So it's going to be tight to fit a spring bar tool in between the strap and the interior of the lugs. If you want to change the strap, if it had stainless steel quick release spring bars, that would mean changing the strap would be easier. But however, one has to expect some cost cutting measures, and I think it's fair enough they've used conventional spring bars at this price point. Right, so I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, the strap is a very tight fit, but I can just engage the tang into the last hole in the strap. If it were just a fraction longer, for example an inch longer, it would fit my 8-inch wrist, but however, I'm not going to be too critical of this because for the majority of collectors with a 6 to 7-inch wrist, this strap will suffice. So as you can see, the proportions to the head of the piece are done very well. 40mm head of the piece, it clearly suits a collector with a larger wrist of 7 to 8 inches, although you may need a longer strap if your wrist size is above 7 inches. 46mm lug-to-lug measurement is relatively short. As you'll know from my previous reviews, I consider 48mm to be the sweet spot, regardless of whether you are a collector with a 6 to 7 inch wrist or a 7 to 8 inch wrist respectively. At 46 it's 2mm below that 48mm sweet spot, but it does fit very snugly and wraps around the wrist despite having angular lugs as per the Grand Seiko, which this is an homage to. The thing I most like about the proportions is it's only 10mm thick, and that's the benefit of using a quartz rather than a manual wind mechanical movement or alternatively an automatic with a rotor. One can get the thickness of the piece down to only 10mm, so it's very low profile. Anything below 13mm will easily slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts, so therefore this is an ideal daily wear piece at only 10mm. It does feel very flat and low profile, and also the flat low profile caseback fits very snugly to the wrist. There isn't a large gap underneath the lugs, as you can see. 20mm lug width is the correct lug width for a 40mm head of the piece, and there's a nice taper from 20mm down to the buckle and tang with the padded alligator leather strap. Now, the thing I really like about this is it is only 58 grams, which is incredibly lightweight, and that's another benefit of it being a quartz powered piece on a leather strap. It feels absolutely weightless on wrist. So when wearing this piece for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day, because it's only 10mm thick and only 58mm in heft, it really does feel like an invisible piece. Even though it's 40mm, it feels like a weightless watch. Very comfortable to wear. The feel-good factor is excellent. The comfort level is excellent. And also, because we have clear AR coating, the legibility is excellent. So there's no lume on the applied indices or the Grand Seiko style hands, so therefore we don't need to do a lume test. So let's discuss the movement used, because it's one of my favourite aspects of the piece. You'll all be familiar with the Seiko VH31 Quartz. The VH31 has been in use since 2016, so at this stage in 2022 it's a reliable, well-proven workhorse quartz movement made in Japan. It runs at 2 Hz. So 2 Hz is 4 beats per second. I'll put that into perspective for you. A Seiko NH35A automatic runs at 6 beats per second. So one of the advantages of the VH31 is if you look closely at the blued second hand, it doesn't tick around the dial every second. If you look, it beats at 4 beats per second, so it looks more like an automatic which sweeps around the dial. So although it's not as smooth as an NH35A running at 6 beats per second, 4 beats per second is nearly as smooth, and it does give the impression of an automatic with the second hand sweeping around the dial rather than ticking every second. And that's something I really like about the VH31. It gives the impression of an automatic or a manual wind movement. So 4 beats per second is a very good frequency, 2 Hz. It has a 2-year stated battery life, which is perfectly acceptable. The movement has 2 joules. It has hacking, as I've demonstrated. One can hack the second hand to stop the second hand dead, to set the time precisely to the second. The stated accuracy of the VH31 is plus or minus 15 seconds per month. That's not 15 seconds per week or per day, that is per month. Incredible accuracy, better than plus or minus 1 second per day. So really there are no negatives to the VH31 whatsoever. 2-year battery life is good enough. Plus or minus 15 seconds per day is outstanding accuracy. And this one is indeed running within plus half a second per day. So that is incredible, bearing in mind it's only $59 US. So I really like it, and I would like to see more low-tier Chinese brands use the VH31 because it is an outstanding Seiko quartz movement, and it's reliable, the build quality is good, the quality control, the materials are all outstanding, plus or minus 15 seconds per month is outstanding accuracy. And it really is very aesthetically pleasing because if you look at the second hand, the 4 beats per second really does give the impression of an automatic. It's nearly as smooth as an NH35A running at 6 beats per second, so I really like that aspect of it. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price points. At $59 US, the value proposition of this piece is fantastic. It is incredible. This cannot be beaten for $59 US because the specification is absolutely loaded for $59 US. Sapphire crystal with AR coating is strong specification. Screw down crown rather than push pull crown, again strong specification. And we even have a screw down case back rather than pressed on case back. It's just very strong specification throughout. Now, really to evaluate the piece in terms of quality, one has to study the quality of the finishing to the bezel, the head of the piece, and also the case back. The quality of the mirror polishing to the 316L grade stainless steel bezel, head of the piece, and screw down case back is absolutely flawless throughout. No sharp edges, no burrs. The brush satin finishing to the CNC lathe tool machining, to the case back, the embossing, to the logo. It's just perfection personified. The mirror polishing to the flanks of this case is some of the best mirror polishing I have seen. Look at the mirror polishing on the tops of the lugs, absolutely flawless. It's just incredible. To get this quality of finishing at only $59 is just fantastic. So yes, excellent quality, yes, excellent value. No QC issues whatsoever. The screw down crown is silky smooth, and it's very impressive to get a screw down crown at this price point. I would expect it to be a push pull crown, and I would expect it to have mineral crystal or alternatively sapphire crystal without AR coating. Bear in mind that Pagani Design have only begun to introduce AR coating on the Air King and Explorer homages, the PD 1692 and 1733 respectively. They're Milgauss as well. Usually watches below $100 either don't have sapphire crystal, or if they do, they don't have AR coating as cost-cutting measures. This does. It has sapphire crystal and AR coating, so no cost-cutting measures whatsoever. I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money, and I'm going to highly recommend it to you for consideration. So I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Chameri Quartz. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.